We begin our lesson today. Today is about the recontext, but before the class begin, let's we pray together for a while. Pray begin. Pray finish. Well, student, good afternoon and welcome to my class. How are you today?
Good afternoon, sir. Very well. How about you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. And I want to ask you who is absent today? Is all class is completely full?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Very well, my students. Today we are learning about the recontext. This is the material from writing skill, and I will share screen the material. Please wait for a while.
All right, sir.
Can you see my screen right now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, very well. Alright, we'll begin now. Do you know about the recontext before? Have you learned before this class, or have you learned in other class about recontext? No? No one of you hasn't know before about recontext, right? Very well. If that's so, I will explain to you about what is the recontext. Did you know what is recontext? Recontext is a text that telling the reader about one story, action, or activity. Its goal is to entertaining or informing the reader. And recontext could retell events or experiences in the past. Well, the recontext is tend to be retell. It's like a storytelling, but in a writing form. It's the form of the recontext is to tell about the event or experience of you. So whenever you have an experience, event, or a memorable moment, you can write on into the recontext. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Very well. Did you know that every writing material has a generic structure? The generic structure of the recontext has three main points. They are orientation, event, and reorientation. The orientation itself refers to tell about the background story about who, where, when the incident or when the event occurred. So the orientation you begin to introduce to as the beginning of your story. Move to the event part. It refers to tell a series of events that occurred in chronological order. In the event point, you have to tell all the story of you, and your story must has a chronological order. It can be back or forth, but it in chronological order to ease the reader to read. The event, also called a body of the paragraph. So the orientation before the event is the introduction, and the event is the body of paragraph, and the last is the reorientation. The reorientation itself is reverse the closing or conclusion of the story. To close a story, we can give our opinion about the story. So in the reorientation, we can pull out the conclusion or a value of our story. Whenever you have an experience or bad experience, memorable experience, or whatever it is, we always have a memorable value of our story, right? That's it about the generic structure. Move to the outline, after the generic structure, we have to arrange the outline. The outline itself is very simple. There are three main points of the outline. The first is orientation, the second is event, and the third is reorientation, like I have conveyed before. In this example of the slides, I will read for you. Last week was the first day I came late to school. I had never late to school before. This is the orientation part. These two sentences is the orientation because this is the introduction or the beginning to the paragraph. Move to the second event. Move to the second part. I was staying up late until 2 a.m., which was very unusual for me. I set my alarm to 5 a.m. I woke up at 7 a.m. and I did not hear my alarm ring. It turns out that my alarm was broken. I rushed to bathroom and changed to my school uniform. I ran to my school. When I arrived, I was punished for being late. Alright, stop to this point. The event tells about the body of paragraph, and like I conveyed before, the event should be chronological order. As you can see here, the writer of this story wrote in the chronological, like I was staying up late until 2 a.m. This is the first occurrence, and I woke up at 7 a.m. This is the second occurrence, and the third occurrence is that he or she didn't hear their alarm ring. It turned out that my alarm was broken. This is the next event. I rushed to bathroom and changed to my school uniform. This is so very chronological and ordered perfectly. I ran to my school the next, and when I arrived, I was punished for being late, and so on and so on. The event is always move forward, right? And this is the third. After school, I bought 2 new arms to prevent this happen again. This last part is reorientation. Like I have said before, the reorientation part is tell about the moral value, or as the conclusion. Alright, I'm sorry if there is a storm around me. Alright, we continue. In the reorientation part, you should have the moral value of your writing, right? And those three parts, since orientation, event, and reorientation, have to order it carefully, because when you read in a good order, your reader will always understand what you read. There are 3 language features of recon text. First, the recon text always using past tense. That's why this is about the experience or event in the past. Using past tense is a very important, because whenever you change the tenses, it will change everything, and it works. Using past tense, like I spent my summer in Yogyakarta and I was very happy. The past tense of the sentences is the span. The span itself is a verb from span, and was is the past tense from I am. I spent my summer in Yogyakarta and I was very happy, not I am very happy, because this is using past tense. And the second is using adverbial phrase to point out the time or place. Adverbial phrase is like a preposition of time or preposition of place. It's like in the beginning, which we often use in, and, or at. In the example, last month in Malang. Last is to point out the time, and in Malang, in is to point out the place. Last month in Malang is very perfect adverbial phrase. Do you get my point? I assume you get my point. Alright, move to the third point of language features. There is using the last language feature is using conjunction and time connectivities. It's like and or after that. This used for in the body of the paragraph in the event part because the conjunction is often used when we want to confine the ordered time or ordered event to be perfectly. This is the recontext. I have one beautiful recontext. This is a memorable experience from someone who has an experience to German page. A few months ago, I went to German page with my family. It's located in Serdang, Pegadai district, about 53 kilometers from Medan City, North Sumatra. The trip there took about 1.5 hours. We left from Medan at 7:30 using a car and we arrived about 9 o'clock. As arrived there, my parents rented a hut to take a rest, and I and my brother immediately ran towards the beach. It looked sunny day with the blue sky and I felt a gentle breeze. The waves there are suitable for swimming, but unfortunately I couldn't swim. I just played with white sand and built a sandcastle.
I'm sorry, sir. Your voice is so low. I can hear your voice clearly.
Now you can hear my voice?
Your voice is low. Yes, I can hear you, but it's too low.
How about this? Still weak?
It's better.
Better? How about this?
Yeah, it's better than before, sir.
Alright. I will make my sound louder from this moment. Alright, I will continue read this recontext from the second paragraph. At the fourth line, I didn't forget to take a selfie with the background of beautiful beach. At noon, I began to feel hungry. I approached the rented hut. Apparently, my mother had prepared food for us. I felt happy to be able to vacation with family and enjoyed the beauty of nature created by God. Not felt the day had begun in the evening. We heard to go home. Before we went to home, I bought some souvenirs there. Finally, we arrived at 6 p.m. because the trip was jammed. Well, everyone, from this recontext, we knew that the first paragraph is the orientations, and the second paragraph is the event, and the third paragraph is reorientation. This recontext is ordered perfectly because the writer was so perfectly write this recontext in order. From this recontext, we also know that the memorable moment from this writer is so very enthusiasm and very good writing. I think that all my explanation about recontext is enough. Any one of you want to add something? I'm waiting. Anyone who has
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
I want to ask you.
Yes, please.
So, my name is Agustinali Nurantasati. As I know, naratif teks itu juga tentang masa lalu ya, Pak. Lalu apa bedanya dengan recontext? Terima kasih.
Very well. The differences between recontext and narrative is about the context. The recontext itself is talk about the event or experience. It tend to be more experience in the past.